And then I got to hit the button over on Instagram. Hello, everyone. Rilus Dana here. Let me finish setting up the stream. Got a special show today talking about real estate and specifically how to protect your Arizona real estate. So here we go, going live on Instagram as well. That should be connecting. I think it's going. So welcome everyone, whether you're watching on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, watching live, or from the future, we're glad to have you. So we have a very special guest today. We have Cassity Trexler, who's a realtor from the Trexler Team, and let's bring her in. So today we're going to be talking about how to protect real estate, and I heard that Cassity is knowledgeable on this topic, so I said yes. Can she come in and talk to our audience on this topic? And she agreed, and here she is. Welcome, Cassity.
Good morning. Good morning,
So
Rilus.
tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What's your day job? What's the name of your dog? Is that your dog in the
I was
background?
like, you can probably hear my dogs. They just, of course, started barking right now.
They want to be famous.
They
want to be
do.
internet famous.
And they are. Sorry about that.
Oh, no
My name
worries.
is Cassity. My husband and I sell real estate. I've sold real estate for 18 years. I work for North & Co. And we have 2 children, David and Robin, both in high school. And yes, recently I decided I needed to really get studied up on title fraud and credit fraud. And so I put out a newsletter and have been trying to.
It's been on my list. It's one of those things that's been on my list. So we have a lot of common friends through North & Co. Love Brian North, and I have several friends that are brokers there as well. So that's like an instant thing. It's like, all right, she's at North & Co. I know she's going to be good. I know that community. And then we have some common friends. But yeah, I was happy to that you've already done the research on this. So I was like, great, let's bring someone in that can tell us about this and let us know what the best practices are.
For
So
sure.
so
For sure. So,
yeah.
yeah, everybody at North & Co, though, I have to say, they're all professional. That's a great company to work for.
Yeah,
But
they're awesome.
we had I got a phone call from another agent who also was at North & Co. And he said, hey, I had someone call me to list this property. And every time we get someone to call us, we'll do research when it was listed, who represented them, look at the tax records. And he just said, it kind of seemed odd to me that you had just sold them this property. And he knew that we worked referrals. And so, immediately you think, oh gosh, well, maybe I did something, or, they don't like the property. About a few hours later, I get an email from another agent, and she says, I've got this email from these people. They want to list this property. I know the way that you work, and I'm just shocked that I got this email. I'm going to forward it to you. So I read the email and I thought, well, that doesn't seem like this client would write this email. So I called the client and said, how's it going? And he said, interesting, you called me. A few days ago, the community security guard called me. And there was a real estate agent trying to get in the community. And they had a sign they were putting on. They said they needed to put a for sale sign on the lot. And he says, my lot isn't for sale. So that's originally how this all came about, is we had a client and someone was trying to steal his identity.
Were they impersonating you as a real estate agent?
No, he was telling other agents that he owned the lot. So what they'll do is they'll steal someone's identity, pretend that they're them, the person that owns the house or the lot. And everything's so electronic now that it's easier to get away with it. It used to be we had to be in person getting things notarized and signing contracts, but now it's a click button.
Yeah, this is kind of the downside of the convenience, right? With the convenience and the digital age, it does bring about more fraud, unfortunately. So yeah, I've heard of stories and different things as well where people after the fact find out that a property was transferred.
For sure.
And they go back and they go, what do you mean? I never sold that. I never did that. and just different ways of fraud where um, yeah, or I don't know how they I guess they get a notary, maybe they pay off a notary or get someone to sign some documents, or they do it electronically now. So
Hmm.
so in response to that, Arizona has passed a bill requiring the counties to have a title alert system. Is that correct?
Correct. So by 2025, every county has to have an alert system. And it's not going to necessarily prevent it from happening, but you will be alerted the moment that something records in your name so you can immediately contact someone to deal with it, because it happens mostly in vacant land in property. And a lot of people, you're not going out driving on your land or checking your deed all the time. So they get away with it. And then years later, they're like, what do you mean I don't own this property?
Yeah. So my day job as a probate attorney, it's not uncommon for us to do probates for something that's really old. I was doing one the other day for a will done in the 40s and a guy that died in 1988. So,
Wow.
but in your world as well, this is where they intersect, right? Where if they're selling a property, but they realize, oh, it's still in grandpa's name, or if they've never actually gone through the legal formality of the probate to transfer it, or sometimes they don't discover it until years later, when they're trying to sell the property or get a loan or something.
Hmm.
So registering for the alert, so at least you can find out as soon as your property is transferred.
Correct. So what you want to do is you want to go to that county's website, and it's a free service, and it is so easy. I've actually got it. Maricopa's up if you want to see it.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to share your screen? You can add your
Yeah.
screen to. You should be able to add it to the feed here. Everyone watching live or on the replay, let us know if there's any questions you have for Cassity here, experienced realtor here in Arizona. And
Can you
today,
see the screen?
not yet.
Hmm.
So we're talking about how to
Good.
protect your real estate. If you're tuning in later here, we're talking about how you can record in Arizona. All the counties will have it by January 2025 is the deadline, and some of the counties already have it. So
Correct.
that's okay. So we can't see it. So
Okay. Well, what you do is you go to recorder.maricopa.gov for Maricopa County. And it's as easy as you put in the name, whatever your property's under, if it's under a business, an LLC, your personal name. And then the minute something's recorded against your name, you'll get an email. So if you get an email, you want to immediately contact the recorder's office.
yeah, and then probably an attorney.
Probably so.
If there was a title transfer, if you contact them, they say, yeah, this you sold this property yesterday or whatever to this person. Yeah, I'd say your next call is to an attorney.
For
Uh,
sure. And then an attorney will probably fight for that title insurance. It's on
yeah,
a case by case basis, but right
yeah,
now it's not like it's very black and white. Oh, if this happens, this is what happens. But you have title insurance, and that's one of the reasons you do.
yeah. Let's talk about title insurance. So something I was thinking about today, preparing for this, as far as best practices, getting title insurance usually comes in about every transaction, right? Every
It's
transaction you're
required in the
involved
state
with,
of Arizona.
uh, for every required in which way? Whenever a property is sold, or when it's sold by a real estate agent like yourself.
When it goes, yes, the title company will require it.
Okay, they require the title insurance. Now, my day job, again, as an attorney, we do the probate on the back end, but we also do the estate planning. We help people set up their own trust. And as part of that process, they're commonly transferring their real estate into the trust. Now, I've heard horror stories where there's been a title problem, but the title company uses the transfer into a trust, or if you subsequently transfer into an LLC or something, that may cancel the title insurance. So
I don't know
something
the
to,
answer to that one, but that is an interesting question. I can get the answer.
yeah, well, the answer is check with the title company, right? Check with the title insurance on the policy, but that's something to be more aware of. So, as I counsel my estate planning clients when they set up their trust and we transfer the property in, I'm just kind of like, attorneys, we're just worried about everything, right? That's why attorneys are no fun, huh? This get scared about everything. It's like every new law, every new scam. It's like, oh crap, how is this gonna affect my clients? But this is a way with title fraud on the rise that title insurance becomes more important. So I would say the two takeaways is one, if you already have a trust, well before that, if you don't, you should if you own property. But I would say close when you buy a property, close in the name of your trust. So that way, that's a 2-for-1. Attorneys like me, we like setting up plans and designing them, not doing just the deed to transfer it in. So when people call us to do just that deed, we have a minimum fee to do anything. So it makes more sense if you can get it done at the time of closing. And then the other thing I was thinking of, when I do prepare deeds, I'm going to be doing more CYA. You know what CYA is?
Yes, we do a lot of it.
And just just having to be extra careful, saying, hey, check with your title insurance to make sure that your trust is covered as well. Because what makes me nervous is if we hear one of these horror story fraud stories, right? And then they say, oh, well, because you transferred into a trust with Rilus, that voided your policy. So, and
That's a really good point.
And the thing with insurance, they're in business not to pay claims, right? That's kind of their business model. They issue the coverage, but they have teams of attorneys and they're looking for ways to make money, like any business.
For sure.
So that is more at the forefront, I would say. When you're buying property, if you can close it in your trust, that's going to be the best way to go. And then if you do a trust later, or just whenever you're transferring property, you want to be extra careful with that title insurance.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, scary stuff. Because I've heard of canceling policies for that reason.
Okay.
Where they go, oh, we're off the hook. There's another transfer after that, so we're done. Like our commitment ended. We did our commitment transferring the property to you, but since you transferred it into your trust, so I think
It
good.
makes sense.
Yeah,
And
it's
a
one of
lot
those
of
things.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd say it's probably in there. The good companies will probably do it for you, but it's something that's worth clarifying, and you don't want to find out after the fact.
Definitely. And most of the fraud happens when something's paid off, when you don't have a mortgage on it. So that is a case that you could, sometimes a lender won't lend in the name of a trust or LLC. But a lot of times when something's paid off, someone's paying cash. That's a very good point. Just put it directly.
Yeah. So that's usually, if it isn't a trust, it can be a pain with the lender. If it's a primary residence, it's usually not that big of a deal. But even then, all these companies it bothers me because they make so much money, but yet they don't want to have a trust department. That's why they don't want to deal with trust, because they again, I guess they're worried about the liability. They don't want to figure out what type of trust it is. So they say, go see an attorney. We need a certificate of the trust. What bothers me, they ask us to do dumb things. I think they're dumb things. Like I've had banks to say, will you write a letter saying that the trust is still in existence? It's like, what do you mean you have it? It's like, why do you need a statement saying that it's in existence when it obviously is? It's like, what else do you want me to say, that the sky is blue unless it's cloudy like it is today and rainy? Like, it's stupid. But anyway, okay, so So we talked about registering your properties in Arizona, and I'm curious, people watching in other states, let us know if what other states are doing, what other counties are doing to address this concern, because I'm sure it's not just an Arizona issue. And then the other thing we wanted to touch on today was credit, right? Was that the other kind of
Mhm.
factor?
Yes. So people are afraid if they freeze their credit that it's a lot of work to get it unfrozen, but it's not. And everybody should be going to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion and freezing their credit. And it's super easy. I can give you the websites. It's free of charge, and it literally will take a few minutes. And what happens is then someone cannot run your credit. Now,
So
when
you're
you
saying
need,
it's as simple as just going to these places saying it's on hold, like I'm not using my credit right now, I'm not applying for any loans, I'm not buying a car or whatever. So let's let's put it on freeze.
correct. And the word is literally freeze on their website. I want to freeze my credit. So then it's not allowed to be ran. And then if you do want to go apply for a loan or whatever, if you forget it's frozen, they'll try to do it and they'll get an alert. Hey, your credit's frozen. So you just log on in and you tell it to unfreeze it. And you can say, I want to unfreeze it for an hour, a day, a week, indefinitely. And then they can run your credit but always have it refrozen.
Yeah. So freeze your credit. So do you have those websites? If you want to put them in the comments, I can put them up
I
on the
do.
screen. So it's the major credit bureaus, it sounds like. Experian, Equifax,
And TransUnion. Mm-hmm.
TransUnion. So freeze your credit. So step one we talked about is, if possible, is to get the alerts for your county on the property.
Mm-hmm.
We also talked about title insurance. So make sure your title insurance is good and be extra careful when you're transferring the policy or transferring a property after you purchase it. So make sure that it has that extra protection if you transfer it into a trust. And what I'm going to do, so I'm going to put that back on the clients, right? And they're going to have to go back to that policy, is where the answer is. It's probably a case by case thing, policy by
And there's
policy.
different levels of policies. So yes,
And it's probably going to cost more, right? If you want
it
more
is going to cost
coverage.
more.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely going to cost more. So, but I'm saying that's cost of doing business now. You're gonna want to. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm. The old saying, pay now or pay later.
Yeah.
That true?
Let's see. I don't see it here. So that's okay. So it's the major credit bureaus: Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. So where you can go online, freeze your credit. I didn't realize that was a thing. I didn't realize that's an option that you could just freeze it and unfreeze it.
Yes.
So
And you want to.
so worst case scenario, you freeze it and then you forget about it. They're gonna say, your credit was frozen. You're denied or whatever. But it's not even gonna be. Does that count as a hard pull? Or I guess they
No,
don't have the ability to actually pull it.
they can't pull it if it's frozen. It won't hurt you at all. It's all there to protect you.
Yeah, and then you can say, you know what, never mind. Maybe I don't need a new whatever. So okay, I do see your screen now. So is this your screen here? This looks like the Maricopa
That was the
title alert.
Maricopa. I don't know why it all of a sudden is.
I guess I didn't pull it into the studio earlier. So this is how you
That's
register in Maricopa County.
correct. Let me see if I can share those other screens too.
And
Can you
that's
see
okay.
that
So
screen?
I think we can wrap up. So we hit the basics. So thank you for joining us today. So
Thank you for having me.
tell us a little bit more about the clients that you like to work with, the type of people that you and your husband work with.
Well, our business is all on referrals. We work really hard on listings, getting a house ready prior to coming on the MLS. We take a lot of pride in getting it staged and professional photos and communication, a lot of communication. We try our hardest to keep everybody updated, even if it's not the news they like, to
Yeah,
make sure they're updated.
That's important. I have to remind myself that the number one complaint for lawyers is not enough communication. So I have to, like, especially when we're doing like probate and trust admin, where they take a long time. We're always trying to. My goal is always to check in before they're asking to us, right? We always want to be, letting them know what's going on.
For
So
sure.
but
For sure.
sometimes
As a
it's like
business
we're
owner, when
we're
I
still
contact
waiting. So, well, great. So you like listings, and you do a lot of due diligence there and helping people with that process.
we do
Now,
probably about 65% of our business is listings, and we also represent buyers.
yeah. So I hear the market is starting to improve a little bit. Is that I'm hearing lenders are starting to actually hire again. Mortgage companies are at a point where they're actually hiring again, and we're seeing a little bit more demand. Would you say that's true in our Arizona markets?
Definitely, definitely. We were slow, especially the last quarter of 2023, but 2024 just, it's like they flipped a switch.
Yeah, and it seems like the story still is just not a lot of demand, right? There's not a lot of
There's not a lot of
or inventory. I mean, there's the demand, but there's not a lot of inventory.
exactly. So there wasn't a lot of demand and there wasn't a lot of inventory. So we were kind of stuck. But there's definitely not good inventory.
But there's
Um,
demand, so that's why it's kind of interesting.
the nice houses go quick.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what are some ways people trying to buy right now? Do you have any tips for the buyers? How to get one of those good houses?
Have a good agent that knows some that are coming on the market. Is,
Yeah.
you want an agent that's busy, that talks to other agents, talks to a lot of people. It's nice to be in the forefront, know something's coming before it's coming.
That's a big part of the game now, right? The coming soon, and it's almost like it's a market before the market, right? Like before it's actually listed, a good agent will kind of put it out there to their team, and or you can tell me this: is it common that properties are sold before they ever hit the full on MLS?
It is, and
How
it
common is
depends on
that?
what kind of market it is. In the market that we had 2 weeks worth of inventory, it was a lot more common than it is now. But sometimes you'll just you'll be in the know of a certain market. We all it's called, we'll farm a market or know a market real well, where you just know a buyer's looking for a particular product. And when it comes up, that that's the product for them.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Cassidy. I appreciate you educating me as well as our community about these issues, so we can be better consumers. So we'll make sure we register our properties, title insurance. We're going to be more careful over, and then also the credit freeze is a great easy step. So very easy things to do to protect yourself.
Well, thank you for having me.
So thank you, everyone. You can tune in a couple weeks. The next topic we're going to be talking about the Corporate Transparency Act. So more reporting, and this affects everyone with an LLC. So that's kind of like the other segment of buyers. I would think every property, I think it should be either in a trust if it's owned personally, or some sort of business entity if it's a rental property. So a couple weeks, I have an expert coming, Natalia. She's from Florida, who knows all about this Corporate Transparency Act. So we'll have a chance to quiz her and ask her what the best practices are there.
Perfect.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.